So I'm gonna let you go ahead and get started, and then I'll go back to the share. Go for it.
Okay, yeah, right.
All right.
Okay. Well, our guest is, we're still waiting for him, but our guest is Mr. James Brady. He's a Moringa expert. He's been doing this stuff for countless, I don't know the exact number of years, but quite a few years now. And he's got some projects going on now with the University of California, Davis, and a few other things out here in the low desert that he's working on, a couple farms that he's connected with. And he's on his way, so just be patient with that. But in the meantime, let me give you his background, his biography. I mean, what was that? Let's see. For those of you who didn't get it, he's like I say in my email to those who got it. He's a man who possesses a wealth of wisdom. He has many skills and an interest in a variety of botanical and horticultural pursuits, including hydroponics, aquaponics, aeroponics, and vermiculture, raising worms. He specializes in growing moringa. Moringa is what many people refer to as the tree of life. And he started out up in Northern California, did an agricultural curriculum for the Pittsburgh and Williams, California school districts. And he's implemented programs in both the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, throughout America. Partnered with the Sacramento County Health Department's Champion for Change footprint program, and to try to get schools involved in agriculture. And now he's working on a moringa project with, as I said before, the University of California, Davis, implementing programs there and in other universities throughout the country. He's designed gardens with and without solar consoles in apartment complexes and schools, and is participating in an upcoming international moringa conference called the Global Moringa Meet, which is being held in Jaipur, India, from November 21st through the 23rd of this year. So he's, according to his calculations, moringa, well, not just his, but the research that he's done, is projected to exceed $25 billion within the next 4 years by 2025. He has a foundation, a low profit liability company called Continue to Farm. I'll spell that CON, the number 10, the letter U, the number 2, farm, FARM, Continue to Farm. And that's also his website. Continue to Farm is a 21st century urban agricultural technology consulting firm, which promotes the use of recirculating water, gardening systems, including aquaponics, hydroponics, aeroponics, and vermiculture, growing with worms. So he participates in using a lot of adaptive growing modules. Continue to Farm creates custom designed learning labs for urban farmers and schools, recognizing that urban agriculture is the most rapidly expanding sector of economic development in underserved communities throughout America, and especially since we've been experiencing higher levels of food insecurity with the onset of the COVID-19 virus. It's one of the most rapidly expanding markets throughout the entire world. Continue to Farm services include community-supported agriculture, CSAs, food hubs, USDA specialty block grant evaluations. Mr. Brady James has also served on the USDA NEFA grant as a new USDA NEFA grant evaluator for over 3 years. He does farm selection, greenhouse design, acquisition of local conditional use permits, review and revision of general plans, code abatement, establishing and operating farmers market cooperatives, reclamation of vacant lots for the use of community gardens, all that urban gardening stuff that I love, that we love, farm safety planning, and vermiculture. For its recognition of the impact which veterans are exerting in the sphere of urban agriculture and technologies, and for the creation of 21st century food labs for military personnel, Continue to Farm received the coveted Homegrown by Heroes title, HBH, a label which is administered by the Farmer Veteran Coalition. a group of over 2,000 certified agribusinesses and farming operators, veteran-owned, controlled, and managed. The member organizations of the HBH include agribusinesses and farming operations comprised of farmers, ranchers, and fishermen who maintain a minimum of 50% ownership by honorably discharged or currently serving veterans from all military branches and all eras. Organizations with a minimum of 50% veteran management control and organizations offering value-added products containing a minimum of 50% non-water ingredients and are produced by HBH certified producers. All of the aforementioned accolades and accomplishments are well-deserved and align perfectly with the vision of Continue to Farm, which is to educate the most vulnerable citizens about healthy eating habits and to transfer our growing knowledge to children who in turn engage parents and the larger communities. And I wish that I could introduce that brother to you right now, but that is his biography, what he sent for us to look at, and because this is what he's going to be presenting today. Is the first part I have here is a laboratory analysis. I'm no expert on this. I barely got a chance to review it. But
we'll give him an opportunity to talk on it if he when he shows up.
Yes.
So share with us a little more about Moringa, because I'm not sure that everybody knows. I was just introduced to it myself a couple years ago and tried to grow it a couple times, and it lasted for a little while. And for me, it wasn't an easy plant to keep up with.
That's probably because of your weather. I have a lot of seeds out here, and it grows well out here because we have a warmer climate. It's an annual, but it will come back up. If you cut it down to the root, to the ground level, about the fall, it'll come back up in the spring and carry on through the summer. The leaves are used primarily. I mean, I know that there are other parts of the plant, of the tree, that can be used too. It's really like a shrub. Our good friend RT, give us your information on Moringa, because I remember when he was out here, we were talking about it too.
Indeed, and Brother James Brady is where I learned of Moringa, and in regards to cultivation, I got my first seeds from him. And because I moved so much, it was hard for me to keep up with those plants. But as far as Moringa goes, the entire plant, like most plants, once you actually, do some research or apply, experimental, tasks to it, you'll be able to use all aspects of the plant. The thing that so amazing about Moringa is its nutrient density, for one plant. You have so many different, not just medicinal and health, benefits, but it in and of itself, it is, vital to life. And I guess that's why it's, considered, or called in many places, a tree of life. So I've seen it grown in a couple of different mediums and methods, and some produce more of the foliage, whereas others produce more of the root. And as Brother Jettie was saying, as far as cutting it back to extend its life cycle, getting multiple years out of what's considered an annual, basically pseudo perennializing it, also causes it to come back vigorously. So that's definitely a good method in implementing, the growth of Moringa. I'm looking at a project that I'm doing, hopefully in this coming growing season, that will heavily rely on propagation of a number of trees, and Moringas at the top of that list. So yeah, I'm hoping to glean some more information from Brother James today.
Yeah, that's what I was looking forward to, because like I said, I got it to grow well, but I wasn't aware that it was an annual. I thought it was because it looks like a shrub, so I was expecting it to be able to last winter and come back and everything else. And I believe we got him jumping in right about now. He should be coming in any second now.
So yeah, don't you worry, we're here.
Here I am.
All right,
I'm ready.
we got him, Brother James.
Okay, thank you. How you doing, my brother?
Well, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm well. You guys excuse me for being late. You know, I'm on color people time.
That's all right. We like seeing Jettie sweat.
I'm not sweating, but I'm good. Brother RT did well.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that I could share with you. I was just on the phone with Africa talking about this Moringa. And so, you know, as I go through my little presentation, I'll share some of that with you on the slide.
Okay.
To kind of keep you guys in the loop of what's happening around the world with Moringa.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here, Brother Jettie.
Now, do you want the ability to share? Do you have?
Yes, could I share my PowerPoint with you?
Yeah, I believe I just given permission for you to be able to do that. So
let's see here, share. Can you see it now?
Yep, we can.
Okay, all righty, let's see here, where am right. So where are you, my brother? What part of the state are you in?
I'm in Indiana.
Indiana, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We got folks from all around, from Florida. We got Quinn up there in Michigan, Darrell in Virginia, but he's traveling to Tennessee right now. We got Tamika in California. I'm trying to remember who else is on here right now. RT is in Texas. So is Joe College Tut. He's in Texas also. I'm trying to remember who else is on here.
Beautiful.
Tanny, where are you from?
I'm in Chicago.
Chicago. I asked her that the other day. Yeah. So,
okay.
So right. Tanny, Joe Tuck, he's the one that you need to talk to about your college and stuff, but we'll get to that later on.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So you guys ready?
Yep.
Okay. So thank you very much, Jettie, for inviting me. James Brady, originally from Alabama, but I live in Calabama today.
All right. Calabama.
Yeah, I live in Calabama right now. But anyway, born and raised on a farm. My grandfather, 5th grade education, accumulated 200 acres. And we're not really any of the kids farming that property now. But we do have 6 acres that we set aside as a pilot program to grow moringa. I'm also a veteran, and I do a lot of ag tech stuff. So traditionally, my methods of growing food is not the traditional way with soil. I don't use a lot of soil. If I do, it's mostly vermicompost. Mm-hmm. We kind of perfected that in Sacramento. And so anyway, as I go through it, I'll share a little bit more about this journey, and hopefully at the end of my presentation, I can give you guys some new methods and some equitable ways that you can get plugged into this Moringa movement that's happening all over the world, but not in America.
Okay.
So on this first slide, what you're looking at here is, can you see my pointer?
Yes. Okay,
so those are pods. The pods are usually takes after you've grown the tree for the first year. You'll get these long beans. They look like snap beans, if you will. But inside there is seeds. The seeds, I eat 2 seeds every day for myself, just for energy, clarity. this is called the tree of life. So everything about this tree has value, everything, to the root, to the top. So if people have, in our lifetime have said, money don't grow on trees, that ain't nothing but a lie, bro. This tree right here I'm talking about is nothing but revenue. Every part of it, whether you're feeding the powder to livestock as a fodder feed, or whether you're using it as a biofertilizer. And I'll go through some of the other things that I'm talking about. But right here, you see the seeds. This right adjacent to that is the powder after the leaves have been crushed. And here is basically, I'll share a little bit more about this slide here in terms of vitamins, amino acids, and all of that. But this is another shot of the tree. Over here is more like a tree farm. The next slide. So what we have to do, I think, for me, I call myself a 21st century farmer. And here, what we're talking about is redefining urban agriculture in the 21st century. So if you're a farmer and you live in an urban environment, then one of the things that you have to push for in your city locally is an urban ag ordinance. And once you get an urban ag ordinance in place, it should include aquaculture, okay? And that takes you into a whole different spectrum of growing nutritious food in a small space. So my conversation with you today is not going to be in terms of the traditional farming like you see down here, what I call prairie urban agriculture. That's big farms growing specialty crops and things of that nature in greenhouses outside of the city. No, I'm talking in the city, within the city limits. A couple of things could happen with your, once you get the ordinance in place, that would allow you to just basically go downtown and get a permit to allow you to sell everything that you grow in your backyard, in a hoop house, in a greenhouse, or whatever. It could be on a rooftop. Now I'm going to take you around the globe here on this stuff. So aquaculture, that's where for people that are seeking plant-based diet, protein-based diets, aquaculture is your way to consume and grow fish as well as fresh vegetables using the same nutrients, okay? And then we come over here to indoor farming, where you have a lot of vacant buildings inside cities. Well, those could be converted into grow houses with hydroponics, aeroponics, and I'll show you some slides about all of that as we go through, okay? One of my specialties is school gardens. I have 15 gardens in Sacramento schools, some greenhouses, some standalone systems, but the idea that is, I call them eco-learning labs. And so the kids are able to learn how to grow in a sustainable way. And most of my greenhouses that we design, and I'll show you and talk a little bit more about that as we go forward. Rooftop greenhouses, excuse me, those are very good, particularly if you have, let's just say 500,000 square foot building that has multiple restaurants on the bottom floor. Well, you should be able to go to that, maybe a state-owned property, city-owned property, and say, hey, what about the rooftop? Can I use that to build, design a garden system that supports all of the restaurants? So we're talking environmental footprint here, where the distance food travel from the roof to the restaurant on the first floor, right? So that's another one. The urban farming, of course, I think what this whole redefinition is for traditional farmers, we got to get away from the old way of doing things. And what I mean by that is incorporating some new concepts using technology. And, so you say, okay, Brother Brady, well, how do you do all of that? So what, in the scenario like this, what we have to end up with is an app that connects all of the people in the community that are growing food with the growers, okay? Now, in that scenario, we got this app. So what that means is that we've created a soft economy where you're getting paid for what you're producing immediately, and it's not touching some third party or fourth party broker, right? So we're getting rid of the transportation, we're getting rid of the tractor, we're getting rid of all of these people in the supply chain that we don't need anymore, because Black folks, we've been getting cheated out of our production all the way for the last 100 years. So what I'm just basically saying is we have to look at agriculture as agripreneurship in a different way that empowers our community, keeps us healthy, and most people are, well, I won't say most people, a lot of people are moving toward veganism, right? So this is a whole new market. Now we jump to Ag 2.0. So what you see here is cellular agriculture. So all of the food that you guys have been producing all these years, we can no longer live off of 3 C's: rice, soy, and corn. You know, that's the American way. That ain't no good for us. So we have to shift our thinking into specialty crops that have more value, like callaloo that's grown in Jamaica. For just an example, a can of callaloo costs you about 12 to 15 bucks. Well, why can't we grow that in America and service all of the Jamaican restaurants? Okay. Anywhere the Jamaican airline flies, you're gonna find some Jamaican restaurants. I'm just sharing, this is going over 3-4 years back. But in the cellular agriculture space, we're talking about pork without the pig, chickens without the egg, milk without the cow, as I said, eggs without the chickens, and coffee without the bean, wine without the grapes, you know, seafood without fish. So you heard of Mac ribs, silk milk. You know, those are some innovative things that have came into our lives without really a lot of people noticing it. So in between all of that is controlled environmental farming. That's more for greenhouse growing, whether you are growing cannabis, hemp, or lettuce, microgreens, whatever that may be. You're doing it in a controlled environment, and aquaponics, hydroponics, vermoponics, or aeroponically. So these are different ways and mechanisms that are being used now, but at the same time, on the cellular side, we have all these new products coming in to service people that are going toward veganism. And so we're basically talking about innovation and looking at different methods of growing and infusing nutritious food with some different type products that are not common to us. And then on the very bottom here, we're talking about food ag, biotech, research. And here I am right down on the bottom. Now this whole chart here was from a study that was done in New Zealand. And they contacted me about some of my methods. And so I got included as an accelerator. That may be a new term for, you know, us traditional farmers. But anyway, I really wanted to pound on that to just show you the importance of what you're growing now, and try to think about your farm and how the best way to extract equity out of whatever method you're using, whether it's soil or you're sharecropping with other farmers. And when I say sharecropping, I don't mean the white way, I mean the pooling of capital amongst farmers to build a greenhouse and to count your revenues in cubic inches opposed to square footage. Does that make any sense? Count your revenues in cubic inches opposed to square footage, because you're growing vertically now, right? The graph that I showed you, the chart previously to this, was a 10-story building. And in that 10-story building, every floor is growing nutritious food that's going to be probably sold within 2 miles of where it was grown. So we're reducing the carbon footprint. At the same time, we're providing value proposition. Now, let's talk about Moringa a little bit. The most nutrient-rich, revitalizing, good-for-you green on the planet. And that ain't no lie. I mean, there's 2 trees in this world, the tree of life, which is Moringa, and the latest one that's getting approved is going to be hemp and cannabis. Those 2 trees right there could sustain the Black culture into infinity, medically, nutritiously, economically, okay? But we have to look at it different in terms of, you know, how we are gonna sustain our culture. You know, just look at the graph. It shows you how important nutritiously Moringa is to the human body and to our culture, because the #1 problem we got in this country with them 3 C's, diabetes and obesity, hypertension, you know, you just name it, it's off the charts. So I'm simply saying, switching your way of recognizing the value proposition with Moringa, because every part of the tree, as I said earlier, is good for the body. From the flower, it's anti-diabetic, anti-obesity, hypertensive, antimicrobial. The stems, anti-obesity, antimicrobial. The root, anti-cancer, anti-aging, antioxidative. The leaf, of course, all of the things plus cancer, neuroprotective, iron, calcium, zinc, magnesium. And then the seed. I have a bag of seeds here that I eat 2 every day, and I would recommend that just for stamina and just for endurance. I mean, it's really good for men, okay? Especially good for men. Now, what I want to talk to you about here is biocolumns. This is, I live in Indio, California, which is like in Palm Springs, Coachella Valley, where the temperatures are 120, 25 degrees during the summer, probably 100 degrees out right now. But these biocolumns is something that we came up with as a faster way to produce Moringa and any other plant every 35 to 45 days. Okay. Now what you see here is this is all PVC. And we're gonna take it, we're gonna bury it. My next slide, I'm gonna show you how we're gonna bury this, and we're gonna grow Moringa in 15 to 45 days. That could be pulled directly out of the top of the PVC, taken directly to a farmer's market, or it could be sold to a restaurant as a garnish. Okay. Now, say for 1 acre, we could put 5,000 of these on 1 acre. Okay. Now you got to be in the right place, and you see it's so hot here, so we got a little covering from all of that direct heat on the plant. So, but Moringa, it loves this type of soil. This is a sandy, loamy soil, and adjacent to what you're looking at. Well, let me put my arrow back here. Can you see where I'm pointing that little greenery back there?
Yeah.
There's actually 2 fish ponds. Okay. We're taking the wastewater out of one pond. We're running it through our system. We're cleaning it up. All of the beneficial bacteria goes to the roots of the plants. And then we take that water and we transfer it back into this other pond, which is adjacent to this one. So we got biofertilizer going on here. We're growing nutritious food. And these trees, by the way, my next slide, this is after we buried. 15 days later, we got Moringa growing. And you know what the number one thing that's needed in this world right now is leaf production for moringa. So, you know, the tree itself will grow about 10 feet tall a year. And you only are able to get one harvest. I'm talking about every 35 to 45 days, okay? Where you can actually harvest, pull these trees up. And if the next slide I'm going to show you, so this is after 15 days, okay? Now we're at 40 days. And after the 40th day, now I'm going to be honest with you, the plants did not get watered on a regular basis. We just kind of, I want to test to see, could they withstand the heat? And how often do we need to water it? So you see a little shortage of nitrogen here as they turn yellow, but it's a combination of the heat and the nitrogen levels that we increase. But here's the good news. 2 feet tall, this tree is now worth $45.
Hmm.
Now imagine if you got 5,000 of these on 1 acre. Okay, you got 5,000 on 1 acre. Now, so you're able to row crop, okay? Now this slide here just basically shows you how the roots of the plants are just kind of dangling down in the PVC. But all this is that the plants will uptake all of that beneficial bacteria and they're just gonna reach for the sky. So it doesn't matter if it's moringa, or if it's tomatoes, if it's peppers, any of these specialty crops, you know, spices and things like that that have a better profit margin. And that's where you want to look at in terms of 21st century farming, I think. Now, row cropping is another method that is being talked about. So let's go back to the idea of row cropping 5,000 of these columns where you're harvesting every 2 weeks. And basically, you're just taking the leaves out. So you got leaf production going on one side. On the other side, you're growing the trees to set up a nursery. And once you get your leaf production done, then you're now talking about, okay, well, what did I do with my leaves? Well, all that you can't sell, you can now get into a situation where you are actually drying the leaves out in a solar system, drying the leaves out, and then from drying them out, and then you're going to process them and crush them into a powder form. And right now in California, moringa is selling for about $8 to $9 an ounce. Okay, that's just the latest. That's what I'm charging, eight bucks an ounce for mine. The seeds, sometimes hard to come by that I trust, but I have a pretty good relationship with Fresno State and University of California, Davis. So I'm working with some of the top scientists, and Fresno State has a program, and we'll talk about that. Some tips is cultivate moringa in its current climatic range. It can not withstand low temperature and frost. So if you're in Indiana, brother, you're gonna have to cut your crop back to the ground and mulch it during the winter, and then just let it do its thing. It's gonna come back and pop up 10 feet tall for you real quickly. That's just the way it grows. Minimize the time between harvesting and drying of your oleifera leaves. Now, one thing I should share with you is that there's 13 species of this tree, but the only one that's really gets all the rays is the oleifera. That's what I'm talking about growing for profit and for health, okay? And I can get into some of the other species. They're all germane. Out of the 13, 10 of them are germane to Africa, and the other 3, which is germane to India. Standardize and minimize significant variations in your product quality, monitor harvest and post-harvest practices, develop standard operating procedures, and train your farmers and your staff. this is what your harvest should look like after, your first season. You're gonna get the pods, which is these long beans that contain all the seeds, which is another product you can sell. These are the leaves here that's been probably solar dried. And here's a bag of seeds here. This is what they look like. So right away, after your harvest, look, you got fresh leaves, which you could sell fresh leaves, or you could sell, you can crush them up into a powder form. And here's a situation where you can make all kind of teas, right? You could do tea with the pods. As I said, a lot of the Filipino population, they cut these pods into pieces and they make soup, chicken soup or stuff that's indigenous to them. But in Africa, in India, they use every part of the tree. These seeds could also be used to clean up wastewater. Go figure. I mean, it's hard to understand a lot of the stuff that I'm sharing with you guys, but what I'm trying to do is just get you excited about farming in a different way in the 21st century and concentrate on this one crop, because in the next 5 years, this is going to be the moneymaker before Big Farmer comes along. Now, the beauty of all of this that I'm sharing with you today is in California, we just got our first grant, and that grant is called Making Global Solutions Local, increasing awareness and consumption of nutrient-dense moringa for all Californians. So over the next 2.5 years, and this was a $500,000 grant that was given to a professor at UC Davis, but I'm a strong supporter and a good friend of hers. And part of what we're going to have to do in California is do some outreach, form some co-ops around the country. I want to do an international, national co-op for moringa. And I can share a little bit more about that. We're looking at formalizing a way how we may be able to do that, to bring everybody into the picture equitably. How do you, let's say, extract revenue out of the co-op? Well, it's going to be through the app, because we're going to know where everything is grown, who bought it, what region of America it was bought in, or Africa. And you say, well, I'd like mine to come out of Liberia. Well, it's okay. But we're going to be able to track and trace all of your products through the co-op, and everybody benefits. And hopefully, if we're able to pull this is a lot of stuff I'm talking about doing. But I have the belief now, after 5 years of being involved in moringa, that we have the ability to connect all of the dots now, economically and equitably, for these products. Because the one marriage that's going to will happen is going to be moringa and cannabis, just for the medical use. Whole new superfood marketplace that's here. So we talked about a little bit earlier about the 5,000 columns and how you can grow a nursery within a very short period of time. Okay, well, here you go. Here's a business just selling moringa trees between, I don't know what the high end is going to be, but to make them affordable for a marketplace, I have 2 people in Sacramento that are selling them, between 15, I think she told me she sold one at $70. That was about 3 feet tall. I have a brother in Alabama that's growing and selling them down south now. Okay. This is Fresno State Moringa Farm. They have a pretty robust program there, but their program is specific for Hmong farmers, no African Americans, just Hmong farmers, because this tree is, Black America don't know moringa. So I'm trying to help people, the moringa tang, everything. Okay, I want you guys to understand that there's a method to all this madness here. So Fresno State, what they've done in the last couple of years with the Hmong farmers is they provided a method where they have about 10 farmers in the program. They do the marketing, the labeling, the packaging, the drying, the processing, all of that. but they're not part of a co-op. They are standalone farmers, perhaps like you guys are, right? And this is Dr. Waterman here. She's my good friend at UC Davis. She's extensively traveled in Kenya, working with farmers all over Africa. And this is Dr. Ruth here with the shades on. She is the program manager at Fresno State. So we got good relationships with them. And so what they do there, they're growing, brother director, they're growing organic and non-organic, okay? That's the thing that I should stress is that if you are an organic farmer, then you're gonna need to be organically certified to really get into the market and get your products out there, okay? Now, there are some other ways that you can be creative to get your product into the marketplace, and I can share that. So here's a little bit of demand. The ingredient market alone, valued to hit 10 billion by 2025. Now this is coming from India, okay? South Africa is said 20 billion in the next 5 years. And that's just one country on the continent, okay? European market of 2 billion by 2025. So again, we're talking about superfood, nutrition, people coming off of meat, more plant-based, protein-based diets. Now, again, we're just talking U.S. ingredient market size of poised to exceed U.S. dollars 350 million in the next 5 years. Now, let's be honest, there's a lot of marketing dollars to impact that number. That's got to happen. But we can do this. And for Black farmers in particular, I can't say it enough. This is the time for reparations from this tree. Okay, forget about USDA and going through all of that process. You can get ahead of the game right now, get that certification, and think about this, growing this Moringa tree as a pathway to sustainability for your families, for wealth and health. Because again, we can't live off of 3 C's no more. Let's just change this whole thing and move forward. Moringa nutrients, so zeatin, it explains itself. Okay, Moringa has several thousand times more zeatin than any other known plant on this planet. Okay, that's how you got to stay vertical, grow vertical. Okay.
I'm liking it already.
All right.
Hey, I'm liking it. Go ahead.
So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the conference call I just got off before I got on with you guys. So Africa Evolved. I was in this conference 3 weeks ago with the country of India, and there was about 500 people on call every day. It was 3 days, and it covered everything from the tip of the tree to the root zone. Okay. Now, for you farmers that are listening in about that have land that you want to grow this on your land that you have, okay? The beautiful thing about this tree is also it's going to put some more money into your pockets from the state of California, because we have what we call tax credits or carbon credits, okay? Carbon tax credits. Well, the Moringa tree soaks up about 20 times more than any other tree during the sequestration process. That means that you're going to be able to grow this and be able to get carbon credits for growing this tree. You're also committing yourself to sustainable farming practices environmentally, okay? So this is a different way to bring in some revenue into your farm that you hadn't even thought about, right? Now, this is what we're going to be doing in Africa. All of this stuff is starting to take shape right now, and I just got off the phone with my contact at Africa Evolved. He is about to get a lot of this stuff has got to be verified. So I'm just trying to be as open and honest with you about everything as possible because it's all brand new. But I think in the next 6 months, this Africa Evolve is going to take the lead on branding and marketing Moringa, in particular Olifera, and what I call the Moringatang chain. So in this chain, we're talking about local, public, private health, community clinics, international markets, grinding mills, manufactured brands. There's also oil that comes from the seeds that could be used in the cosmetic industry. Okay, I can't cover everything because it's too much. But then we got processors, washers, and you got to dry your leaves. And then up here, we got the growers can grow for seeds or grow for leaves. Okay, so you got and over here, you got the seedlings, independent specialties. So how do we make all of this work? We got to have some money, some financing, and some macro credit that's going to be available to these farmers. And Africa Evolve is positioned, from what I've been told, to get about $300 million as infusion capital to grow this all over every country on the continent. Okay, whether we're talking Liberia, Cameroon, Angola, Kenya, Rwanda. Rwanda just went legal yesterday for cannabis. So there's a whole new market. Hemp. Now you want to hemp a brother out?
As well.
So one of the things that you're going to be able to do with your moringa is to infuse it with hemp juice, okay, and put that into the marketplace. It's a healthy drink, or you can infuse moringa with CBD distillates and create a whole new health strategy for the community, okay? Now, so I can't cover all of the things because I'm kind of, my mind is just spinning out of place here, but I hope that everybody can follow along, and please feel free to ask me a question about anything.
You're doing great. This is good.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You got me excited, man. Shoot, I'm ready to go out and plant some now. I'm gonna have to leave y'all in a minute.
Okay. Now, so let me show you a few of my systems that I designed. I'm not doing these now, but these are some of the gardens that I put up in Sacramento School District. And so what you're looking at here is 12 grow bins. This is all vermicompost. This is worm castings, a little alfalfa and a little horse manure mixed in. And in the bottom of these, I have gravel, and then I have a screen cloth. So, and I got a drip system. So now all of these bins are connected right up in here on the bottom, where I got a little bit of a pipe that runs all the way through, where the water drains back into this 40-gallon reservoir. Follow? Now I got a pump and a timer in here. Okay? So we flood and drain, and basically, even if you're in a wheelchair, you can walk up and harvest. There's really nothing to do but just watch your food grow. Over here, I got a 100-watt solar panel. Okay? Right here is my computer board and a 6-volt battery to store all of the energy that comes from the panel, right? Now, my computer board here is used, I put that in the soil, it's used to measure the soil moisture. So when it kicks on, it tells the pump it's time to water the plants, okay? Now over here, on the right side is a 300-gallon rain catchment system. And right here is gutters. So when it rains, we're capturing all of that rainwater. And there's enough rainwater in there to service your garden for about 120 days. Okay. So you're talking about efficiency, clean footprint. This system here I sold to the school, I think for about 12,000, but it's all PVC, even the poles. You see that? It's all PVC, and then I use Solarplex. The Solarplex is some material that we came across that was really good, and it provides good ambient lighting as well as it keeps it's pretty cool. It really is. Now this is backyard bioponics. This is the same method that I just showed you with the bio columns, okay, earlier. Except for here, this is in the backyard, and we're growing peppers and tomatoes in here. Of course, for tomatoes, we're gonna have to trellis, right? So we'll figure that out. But the beauty of this is more like aquaponics, but we use fish waste instead of fish. We don't have any fish in here. We're just using fish fertilizer. That's the best way to explain it. And over here is a 40-watt panel, and that powers it up. There's a pump and timers here. And this could be extended to go this direction if you want to add more. What you have here is the pump will water the plants, and this little reddish material here, all my media is right there. So the plant sits on top of it, huh? And the plants absorb all of that beneficial bacteria, and it just grows to the sky real simply. So that's backyard bioponics. Here, I took this picture in Phoenix, Arizona. I was over there a couple of weeks ago, but I'm also into aeroponics. So in an aeroponic environment, and by the way, this is a fantastic way to grow your moringa nursery, okay? So all of the nutrients is down here, and all of you probably have like 50 grow pots in here, right? Where you can put in, they got about 50 heads of lettuce in here, and you're harvesting every 15, 20 days. But again, all of the nutrients is in the base here. And a lot of people use LED lighting to support the growth of these towers. These are some bigger towers. They come in a little smaller sizes, but for mass production, aeroponics is a good way to go. It really is. It's economically, now one of these probably run you about $1,000 a piece, right? But the return on your investment, and if you got the market, you don't have no concerns, because this is putting money into your pocket monthly instead of waiting on your harvest at the end of the year. And then you got to deal with Mother Nature and everything else, right? So I'm telling you, take all of that stuff out of the equation, that old method of farming, and look at some new revenue. Now, this is another one that I built for the Boys and Girls Club in Sacramento. The same greenhouse, a little bit bigger here. And you see, I put some AstroTurf down. My gardens are so good, bro. You can go in with a vacuum cleaner. There ain't nothing to, roll up with a wheelchair. I got the solar fans, the solar pumps. It grows on its own. We're growing some collard greens here. Look at those collards. This is probably after 35, 40 days. Huh? Look good? Look good to eat. All right, so anyway, let me jump into this slide, and then I'm gonna try to bring it home for you. So what you see here, this grows wild in India. Moringa and cannabis. But they haven't taken advantage of it, right? But you could be driving down any road in India, as I understand it today, you see moringa and cannabis growing side by side. But this is what they really depend on to sustain their whole culture, is moringa. They put it in everything. They use it for everything. So here I'm saying it takes a community to raise a farm. So we can't do this by ourselves. So part of what, and this is all my contact info. Let me just share a little bit before I stop this about the future of food in the age of COVID. And it says that prior to COVID-19, food was driven by nutrition-related diseases, but the pandemic has exposed at-risk populations with approximately 90% of hospitalized patients having one or more underlying conditions, with the most common underlying condition being obesity. Okay. Lastly, food as an immunity has the potential to bridge healthcare and food production and consumption for treatment of specific nutrition-related chronic lifestyle diseases, as well as change the future of brands to focus on unique functional ingredients. Okay? Nothing is better than Moringa. Nothing, hands down. I challenge anybody to prove me wrong. As I said, we were on the conference call with the Zoom call last week with 500 states in the country of India. And by Saturday, I was on another Zoom call with 35 states in Africa. And so I'm just sharing with you is all fresh information. Some of this stuff, you know, my garden systems, we've done that, but they were so encouraged by some of the systems that I showed them and displayed and talked about, that the University of Agriculture there is the Horticultural College and Research Institute. They want to bring me over to incorporate this into their urban lifestyles and to change the way that they've been looking at food and food production. But we got a lot of work to do. We're gonna be in Africa, but right here in this country, for all of my Black farmers that are listening, California is gonna be leading the way because we got the first grant for Moringa. Now, wherever you may be right now, in any state, you should apply for a specialty crop block grant, okay? And it was a challenge to get it. Now, I know the only way that Dr. Waterman got it is because of her credentials, but the state is ripe for an influx of more Moringa. Like I said, we are growing it on the farm, on the soil. We're growing it in the bio columns. I got it growing in Alabama. Now, so what I need to share with you right now is when I said that Moringa is good, every part of the tree is good for something. Well, guess what? All of this Moringa that you may consider growing can also be used to feed your livestock. You got cattle, goats, pigs, you could feed it to them and cut down on your food bill, okay? Just incorporate it into their daily nutrition. One of the things that we know scientifically right now, and I got some lab reports that I sent over to you guys that we can talk about this. I have 20 tons of powder right now that's available that I'm trying to get rid of for a company called Cooley Cooley. And one of the things I needed to see was a lab report, not their lab report, but an independent lab report. So I sent it down to Tuskegee University, where I know a few people. And so the lab report that I shared with Jettie today, as you can see, professor was very encouraged by the numbers. 26 to 28% protein go directly into feeding your livestock, your chickens. We're feeding Moringa to fish right now on the fish farm. So all I'm saying to you is you see the multiplicity of things that you can do with this to keep your entire footprint healthy while you're creating little wealth models for yourself around the community. And eventually, so what I try to do is get people, I don't care where you live, put a tree in your backyard just for the family, for your health and your wealth. Yeah, so those are some things I want to hit on. So if anybody have some questions, I'll leave it at that for now. And if you don't mind, if I could just step away for a quick second to grab a drink.
Sure.
You deserve that much at least, brother. Thank you.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, that's that's more than I bargained for, I can tell you that. That is something else. The Moringa is no joke. It's a miracle. It is definitely a tree of life, a miracle tree.
Great presentation. Great presentation.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I was glad to see the information that he was sharing. Can't wait till he gets back. I got a few questions I want to ask, but I don't want to take up all that time. I know Joe Collard up there. I know he gonna get on that perhaps with them collards he got.
Yes.
See how well they do with what he got.
Man, them worms do it all.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
You know what's happening.
So, is this the end of your presentation? You want to?
Yes, sir. You can go forward, and I thank you guys for listening to me, and
Thank you.
hopefully it'll be beneficial as we move forward, and I can get you guys kind of connected, because one of the things I forgot to mention is the fact that we got this grant, and we're going to be doing all of this work across the state, will set you up, and care what state you may be in. You just kind of mimic what we're doing here.
Yes.
Set that up in your footprint,
Mhm.
and then our people benefits. Just this to me, this is like I say, reparation comes from the tree of life.
Yes, sir.
Because we got to change, because things are just too tough right now with all of this craziness going on. And so I just want to encourage you all to consider Moringa in your growth strategy, not only for your health, for your wealth. And after that, I'll take some questions from, if I can answer them for you.
Okay, we have 3 questions, but I'd like to give anyone else an opportunity to ask their questions. John or Brother Joe, any questions?
You were talking about the benefits that that this plant has. So I had a couple questions. One was, and I know you put the chart up there, but about processing. What does it take to process this? As far as the leaves, I know you said that there was a solar drying system that you had. I know you talked about the oils and
Yes.
a few other things that you could do. So what are the what does it take for that, and what is the need for that? And what I mean by what is the need, I know that it's needed, but overall, is this something, like I see with hemp, a lot of the states, as they began to bring hemp in and everything else, there at the beginning, there's a very great need for hemp processing units and stuff like that. A lot of people want to go and jump into the growing, and but then the problem is how do you, where can you take it to be processed? And so, is there a great need for this, or is this something that you know, 1 or 2 per state processing centers can easily deal with it.
Yeah, what I can do for you there, sir, is I can provide Jettie with some slides that basically I probably have like 200 screenshots that I took from the webinar on drying, processing, seed extractions, oil extraction, all of that. So I don't mind sharing that because again, this is all about us right now,
Right.
and trying to figure out how economically we can survive as farmers.
That's right. I'll get it to you.
Yeah. So yeah, over the next few days, hours, I'm gonna be sharing a lot of stuff with Jettie, and he could then in turn get it to you. All that I don't have, you can probably look at, and I'll give you some places to look with, say, Fresno State. They may have everything online in terms of, you know, their whole process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if I don't have it, I'll get it because
All right.
we're in the loop now.
Yeah, well, that'll work. That'll work. So my second question is probably one of the most popular questions that's out there today. What does this do with COVID?
What it would do is it would kick COVID's butt.
Okay.
Well, let me just be, you know, the chart that I showed you earlier about the tree and all of the elements and compounds that are in the tree. The fact that we need to build up our immune system from, you know, remember the 3 seeds. That's the problem. If we can take those out of our diet or combination of them, but keep the collard greens there. But those 3 seeds are pretty much determining our fate on this planet. So hemp, cannabis, and moringa, new products, a new way to bring them into lifestyles is very important. And but any information that I have, I can share. For instance, I have a PDF, and I don't know if I sent it to you, Jettie, that's pretty much covers everything moringa, but it was put together in Ghana. And one of the leading scientists in Ghana is a guy by the name of Dr. Newton. This brother, now he's the seed oil extraction guy and the tea guy. He could tell you how to make moringa tea, put it in the bags and put it in the supermarket. I mean, he went to China and stayed there for a year to study tea. And so he has his own method on how to do that. But part of this overall group with the Africa Evolve, we'll have to figure out as we move forward based on the interests of you guys, how I can kind of incorporate you all into that.
You better incorporate it, but we're definitely interested.
Oh yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, so we're moving into a different direction, and I just would encourage you, you know, if you know other Black farmers, one of the things that, you know, has hurt us in the past is not understanding the economics of specialty crops and food. So one of the things that could happen, for instance, Mr. Jameson, is if Black farmers could pool some capital, buy state, form the co-op, build a greenhouse, and just have a nursery and just share in the gross revenues, whatever that may be, monthly, annually, or even have a 500-acre farm of moringa. That's not out of the question, you know. Everybody pool the capital. Your return on investment, remember I said earlier, the biggest problem with all of this beautiful stuff I just described is marketing. But I think we can capture that through social media. You know, we got enough young people that can navigate through, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, you name it. And once we develop the app that connects the buyers with the growers, then we now have a revenue stream that's going into the community. This is what we're talking about, this Azuzu, a revenue sharing, like they've been practicing telling the black people that, our dollars don't recycle enough. Well, we can recycle them with through technology, right? Through this app, everybody's getting paid immediately once your product is sold. So anyway, I hope I answered your question, Brother James.
You did. We got a couple people. We got Gabriel and then Joyce Moore who have their hands up. So Gabriel, you had yours up first. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to ask your question.
All right, good evening. Appreciate you being on board, Mr. Brady. And I found your presentation very informative. I do have some questions, and I'm going to play little devil's advocate, not because I have any particular bias for or against Moringa. I think it's a great plant. But I just want to play devil's advocate just for a second. You mentioned that it grows abundantly and readily in India, along with either cannabis or hemp. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So my question is, and I don't have a lot of facts in front of me, but something popped in my mind, and I thought it would be potentially helpful to ask the question in case somebody else might be thinking this as well. But India is one of the most malnourished countries that we know of, at least right now. And probably Africa probably fits in there as well to some extent.
Yes.
So my question is, since it grows prolifically there, and everybody seems to understand the benefits, health benefits of the plant, both plants for that matter, how do we know that this in the U.S., because it hasn't been used as much here, it's not as well known here, how do we know that it's not just, say, another what do I want to call it? Not like a noni drink type trend, or I guess trend might be the right word.
Fad.
Yeah. How do we know it's not another fad? And I'm not saying it is, because I do believe that the benefits are there. But how do we get people to buy into it and not ask that very question that I just asked?
Well, I think for me, the first thing is testimonials is good. Understanding the usage of it. One of the things that I do, this company called Cooley, who found me. So I blogged with them to try to encourage more people to grow. But you're right, Africa is malnourished, so is India. So we just have to change the dynamics. But marketing is a big problem. It's not a fad, but we want to make it a systematic, equitable, non-faddish, if you will, opportunity for Black farmers. The FDA is not going to promote it. It's been suppressed just like cannabis was for all these years. Now it's legal in 30 states, right? And you see who is the beneficiaries of all of that. Well, along comes Moringa that has twice the revenue potential than cannabis does. And maybe even 5 times, because at any day, what you're going to see in all of the studies that I've looked at is that this is moving really, really fast across the continent because of COVID. And so people are starting to change their minds about superfoods. So Moringa is classified now as the #1 superfood in this country. And that means that plant-based diet, protein-based diet people are tuned into it, and they're starting to use it. So it's a matter of a series of town hall meetings, Zoom calls, getting together with your local farmers and just kind of encouraging each other, because it has to be a movement and not a fad.
Yeah.
Hopefully, did I say that good for you?
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic answer. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And in fact, as you were answering that question, I was thinking to myself, well, perhaps this group that we have here on this call and the many others that might be watching this later could be potential test subjects for this movement in terms of, I'm sure there's plenty of people on this call that have health issues to some degree. I would be more than willing to, come up with some tinctures or some kind of drink that's a Moringa based drink and just try it out and see how it makes me feel. I think since it's an all natural product, I don't necessarily believe that there needs to be a whole medical sort of movement behind it. I'm sure, anytime you put something out there that you label as, healthy, there has to be some sort of fine print at the bottom saying, you need to check with your medical doctor or whatever. But I think I think the health benefits of this particular plant are there in enough quantities to where I think if some of us on this call can maybe try it out and see what it does for us, and then we are the testimonials that you were talking about.
Well, I to further answer your question a little bit is, so I was sharing with you about this company called Cooley Cooley. You can actually Google them online and you'll see all of the Moringa products that they have. But I got involved with them for two reasons. One of them is, this is a young white female. She started a company after coming out of the Peace Corps about 6 years ago. She's now in 11,000 stores across the country. So when I agreed to get involved with them to help them get rid of the powder, and then they asked me, well, do you know any athletes? I said, yeah, I know a few. So now we're doing this campaign, doing these little infomercials, getting testimonials from people, and they want to put that out. So all of these things are going on simultaneously while, I'm looking at the ag tech side of Moringa in Africa and India, but there's all of these other things that are going on to tell me exactly what's going on in the marketplace. So, what I don't think I said this to you guys earlier, but one of the things that you can also do with Moringa, let's just say if you got hemp growing on one side and Moringa, well, the biomass that you're ending up with, you can actually put it in the middle of your row, and all of those nutrients are going to get sucked up by the plant. And next thing, you're going to have cucumbers and zucchini out of this world. So Tuskegee is doing a study to use Moringa as a fodder. Alabama State is doing a study. Alabama State is not an ag school. They have a gardening program, but I was able to convince them, since they have a hemp license, right? We are now testing Moringa, mixing the powder with ethanol. We're trying to see if we could use it as a foliar spray, because the professor is an epidemiologist. And after 6 weeks, and this is like fresh stuff, I'm telling you, they are very encouraged by what they're seeing after 6 weeks. So there's just some other stuff that I just thinking that was in the back of my mind. Throw at you there, brother. But sorry that it took me so long, Gabe.
That's fine. I appreciate it. And how do you spell Cooley Cooley? And I'll end my question there. So I can
Kuli.
KLI.
Yeah, Cooley Cooley. And if anybody on the call, and this is not a sales pitch, but if you decide you want to buy something to try out, I mean, I sell powder myself, but Cooley Cooley, I have a code EcoBro15. If you go to buy something from their site, you get a discount, about 15%, I think.
Okay.
Can you put that in the chat?
Put it in the chat, yes.
All right. We're going to get Joyce Moore. She was next, and then we got Tamika and Camille.
Yeah, I came in late, but does that grow in our zone?
He needs to know what zone you in. She's in Indiana.
So it's like 6B, 5.
It 8.5 to 9 is best.
Does it grow as an annual or perennial or?
It's a perennial. It's the most nutrient dense perennial on the planet.
I have some. I know about it, but I just
Okay.
didn't know we could grow it here.
Well, I tell you, I think you can, ma'am. You may want to just try to put it on your patio and during the winter. During the winter time, I just don't know about the climate in Indiana, but you can always cut it back down to the ground, mulch it, and then, you know, when spring comes, just let it pop up and do its thing.
Okay. Yeah, I've grown some. I just I didn't know to cut it to the ground, and so it didn't do that well the next year.
Yes.
But it grew good that whole year that I had it during the season and everything.
Okay.
And so if we do grow it, then there would be outlets, because that was one of the problems with the hemp. You know, if you got it growing, where were you going to sell it, and what was the distribution and all of that?
Well, yeah, depending on this Joyce.
Yes.
Yeah, depending. So you're in Indiana. I think, see, what's going to happen over the next few years is we got to set up a distribution channel, a value chain for all the farmers. The app, the idea is to connect everybody so you don't have to, when you grow something and you have a little biomass, you just put it on the app and then you got somebody that wants it, right?
Oh, okay.
That's in the interim that we need to do outside of just encourage and spread the word. You know, this is kind of like a Harriet Tubman moment in the Moringa world. So one day at a time, and, you know, us older farmers, you know, we like what we do. You know, I kind of got away from the traditional farming when I left Alabama, but I get so much joy out of growing without using the soil. But I just want to encourage you, whatever method you're going to use in the next couple of years as we move forward with this grant, I'm going to be getting new information as we move forward that I could pass along to the group and share. And then maybe you guys could be the ones that are in California. Somehow we connect you with the grant, because the thing is, I just want to encourage all of the Black farmers, particular at this time for this particular tree, because economically, oh man, it could save a lot of farms and save a lot of families. Really.
So you're talking an
Go
app
ahead.
like an app like they have for people who go to different like restaurants and get their food, and then they pull it all together and then they give it to, you know, they do send it to people who need it. You know, they've got apps. Is that the kind of app you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am. So one of the things that we are talking about doing with Africa is we're doing the app and a barcode. So barcode would be specific to your zip code and wherever you are, or your farm. And that way, when it's purchased, somebody, you're in Indiana, if I purchase out of LA, you're going to know you got a buyer out of LA that wanted to purchase your product. So it's real time, and you'll be paid instantly once people, of course, you have to have the ability to ship it to them, right? But you can still have some predetermination based upon your network and what how you're going to generate revenue from that particular app. Other than that, you'll have to just use social media for now. You know, use your phone, the platform that you have with this group here is another way. But I think if we're lucky and we can figure out, now I don't know how to set up a co-op, the national, international that interfaces with Africa, but I think that over the next couple of years, I got some documents I'm looking at right now, but I don't want to spread myself too thin, you know, get involved in doing too many things, because I kind of lose my passion and lose my audience.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
all right.
Mm-hmm.
Queen Tamika.
Yes, thank you. Sorry for my backdrop and wind here, but thank you again, Brother James, for the presentation. My question is, you mentioned that you currently sell this crop. How were you able to find the market? And when you say there's a global market, like what are you guys thinking about with respect to export? And where you heard the connection to the app, but how are you able to locate your buyers, and how do you cultivate that market? Since that will be key for anyone who's looking at growing.
Yeah, Tamika, it's going to be another journey. So part of mine was I connected with Dr. Waterman, who was doing international research of Moringa at Davis. She then introduced me to Fresno State people, and then I went down. They had a big, what I want to say, they had a Moringa marketing event at Fresno State. They brought all the farmers in. They brought some people that was in the food service industry, you know, the tea makers, the wine makers, the, you know, whatever they were, in addition to the farmers. And everybody had their products displayed. That was one way that I experienced, and that connected me with farmers in Central Valley, California, where I get most of my moringa from. Most of the moringa that's in the market right now in America comes out of India, or may come, don't buy it. I would not advise anybody to get any moringa from Walmart.
From where?
From Walmart, I would not buy it. Whole Foods, kind of trusted, because remember, you know, the thing is that these leaves, the all of the natural ingredients in moringa, they only stay there if you are able to handle them properly within, let's say, 72 hours after harvest. They need to be washed, need to be put into a drying situation so that it maintains its potency. Mm-hmm. Or you may be dealing with a situation, you harvested 4 days ago, now your leaves are spotty and they're turning, you may as well toss that. You can't take that to the market. Now you may be able to feed it to your cattle though, so you're not throwing it away. Mm-hmm. Or your pigs, your chickens, right? So, but it's a journey, Tamika, and we have, like I said, in the last couple of weeks.
So that's led me actually to a final follow-up question, if I may. Mm-hmm. So if most of the moringa in the U.S. is imported from India, how would you handle then the selling in the U.S. by our farmers, and that level of balancing the competition between import and growth of our of a cooperative that would be looking to penetrate the North America market with their crop?
Well, there is. I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel. Just as I said over the last couple of weeks. Now there's a guy down in Florida, a white architect, who just decided that he was going to get into the moringa game. So as I understand it right now, he has 300 farmers in Tampa Bay area where they are growing moringa. They have a training program, marketing strategy, everything. We're actually in conversation with this person now. So over the next couple of months, I think I'll be able to share with you a little bit more about that particular piece of it on the marketing side. How do we set up co-ops? How do we find buyers? How do we do all of these wonderful things that I'm suggesting we do without having to, and it's cost effective, right? So that you're not spinning your wheels trying to find buyers. I think that over the next few years, moringa is going to just kind of move into its own space in this country just because of COVID-19. And it is a good way to ward off diseases in the body. But again, protect yourself from those three seeds: the rice, the soy, and the corn. You know, even on the oil side, through a seed extraction process, you have the ability to use Moringa oil opposed to Crisco, because Moringa sits on top of all of them, right? So it's just a transition you have to make, and have a little bit of patience. But I think in the end, you know, if you decide to grow, like I say, you could partner with someone. One could be a grower, you could be the distributor, so that you can share in the gross revenues of everything that's that you are trying to protect, right? So did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. We got Camilla.
Good evening, everybody. How's everyone doing?
How are you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful, great presentation. Oh no, Tamika did ask my question for me as my sister, but I did want to make a one statement in regards to the comment about, you know, the products coming from poor countries and things of that nature. I think we've seen for centuries. I mean, we've heard of these type of products coming from poor countries and the people not getting the benefit of them. You know, so I think one of our especially from Africa and other countries like India. So that shouldn't be a deterrent. I mean, there's multi-billion and trillion-dollar companies right now profiting off of byproducts and products from Africa and India. But yeah, Tamika, she asked the question. The last one was mine. So yeah, thanks so much.
You're welcome. I would agree with you. You know, the international import, export, there is a challenge there. The supply chains are being interrupted. So I think all of those things are going to change, and everything is going to be more local in the future because of COVID. So we just have to prepare for that, because and being able to get it from a Black farmer. And don't be afraid to go to some of these ag schools, the HBCUs, and get them involved, because they also should be leading the research as it pertains to the Black farmers in those particular areas where they're located. So that's how I kind of connected with Tuskegee and Alabama State. So, you know, it's just being innovative and determined that, you know, you're going to get the answers and the relationships that you need so that you can thrive once you really do get into the business of Moringa-tanging, as I call it.
All right. All right. And I want to apologize. I you know, I do this so often. I overstep my boundaries. I was supposed to be sitting back being a spectator and let Jettie take over. So I'm gonna back off and let him take over his spot again as the host of this, and continue to lead and close or whatever it is that he desires. Jettie?
Well, I have no problem, Mr. Director. You know, you do whatever you need to do. I'm with you. Andromeda has one final question for herself.
I just had a question about any personal testimonies you may be willing to share about how Moringa has personally helped your health over the years.
Well, let's see. The best example is I try to include it every day. I eat 2 seeds. Powder I'm actually drinking. I'm gonna give you my secret recipe here. So this is green tea, turmeric, moringa powder, fresh ginger. I brew that in a pot, right? I brew a gallon of it, and then I mix it with Simply Lemonade. And I don't use any sugar, and that's my energy drink. It's I used to be a person that drank Pepsi all the time, right? I haven't had a Pepsi in like 10 years. So I'm grateful that I can use Moringa. Now, one of the other things that I have a testimonial I can share with you, Jettie, a young man that I'm working with, and his approach is, there's so many different compounds in Moringa, but what his focus is sickle cell. And I asked him to do me a testimonial, and he put one that was just amazing. I've shared it, and they loved it all over the place. So I'll send that to you, Jettie, and let you see his testimonial.
Thank you, brother, because I have the trait. Thank you.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what he does is he mixes Moringa and sea moss gel. You familiar with Irish sea moss?
Yes, sir. I have Graves' disease, so I can't take that, but I used to use it a lot in my herbal compositions.
Okay, okay. Well, anyway, I'll share that testimonial with you, and some others that that are out there now, and delighted to share with everybody what I know and what I'm going to learn in the next, as long as I'm vertical, I'm going to share. So I appreciate.
Well, you're telling us this from the perspective of a 35-year-old man. I'm approaching 60, so is that going to really help me?
Are you approaching 60? Look, I'm 67.
Well, there you go. Excuse me.
Look, hey, Jettie, look, I got the energy of a 20-year-old, and
that's what I'm talking about. Hey, I need that back. Whatever it is.
I ain't on steroids either.
All right, brothers, keep it clean. Keep it clean.
I'm trying. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Thank you so much for showing up. And if there are any last questions, we'll take them. And otherwise, we'll be on our way because we have passed our time by quite a bit, but it was well worth it. Thank you so much for your presentation, brother. We really appreciate it. We learned a lot.
Call me, Jettie.
Looking forward to getting rich by tomorrow.
Call me, Jettie.
Yeah, I like to say that. Thank you, Jettie. Thank you for the presentation. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you, Brother Joe. I heard. Sorry, I didn't get to hear about your collard greens, but do you ship?
We don't sell proprietary information.
Okay, I like that.
But he did give me his recipe, so we're gonna grow you some here. We're growing some as well. We won't give you his information, but we're growing it.
That'll work. That'll work.
I will be reaching out to you, and I think that what you're doing is excellent. Hopefully, in some of the endeavors that we do as a group, maybe we'll be able to reach out to you and join you in some of those things that you're trying to do also.
Yeah, I really appreciate everybody, and I'll leave this with you guys. Is I do give away a lot of seeds, so if you need some seeds, just pay for the postage, and I'll get you some seeds. Maybe about 75 to 100 seeds.
Take all the seeds you give me.
Okay, so
a good seed. I said they're good seeds too.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So his information is in the chat. Please, everyone, copy it. We'll send it out, but I don't know if everyone's on the email list. But we will send it out.
Okay.
Appreciate y'all. I'm cutting left.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Right. Thank you all.
Yo.
All right.
Pleasure to meet you all.
All right. Pleasure to meet you.
God bless
Yes,
you.
sir.
Y'all have a good evening. God bless you.
Excellent job, Jettie.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you, James. Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you, James.
Peace and love.
Appreciate you. Stay safe.